NBA draft. Do y'all enjoy it, or you just kind of nah?
Let me say one thing. It may have been, I think it was one of the most watched drafts in a long time, and maybe ever. It was like up 24% from last year. That TV product was pure garbage. That was horrible to watch.
I don't watch the NBA draft.
The analysis was miserable. I still hate the NBA can't start their league year like a couple of days ahead of time so we can get the right hats on people, because everyone's confused. Like, I see people in the Memphis Tiger Facebook group talking about, I can't believe the Grizzlies drafted Marcus Sasser. Those traitors. He's a Memphis Tiger killer, and they drafted Marcus Sasser. No, they didn't draft Marcus Sasser.
And if they did, hell yeah.
Yeah, and I would love it if they did. And by the way, the Pistons owned that pick because the Grizzlies traded to the Celtics. Celtics traded to the Pistons.
Yeah.
And like people, because he has the Grizzlies hat on, they think he's a Grizzly.
Yeah. The NFL draft is such a spectacle, and it's
kills
so
people.
awesome. Like, it's one of my favorite. We've talked about this. It's one of my favorite things about the NFL is the draft. Like, I get super fired up for it. The NBA draft sucks.
And you want to hear something funny
Don't care
too
at all.
about the ESPN mock draft? I think it was Jonathan Gavoni. 28 of the 30 picks. He didn't get them in order, but 28 of the 30 guys that he thought would go in the first round went in the first round. He got 28 of 30 correct.
Yeah.
It's like the NFL draft's not that predictable.
Yeah, it's not
That
that
was
predictable.
super predictable this year.
I mean, I still will go on YouTube and type in Pat McAfee announces for the Indianapolis Colts.
You're right.
If you remember that video.
It's electric, man. It really is.
Amazing. All right, so since both of y'all didn't like the draft, let's talk about the draft.
Sweet.
No, I didn't like the TV product. I like following along. I enjoy I enjoy seeing, and also I enjoy seeing guys like it's hard not to enjoy guys realizing their dreams right in front of your eyes and seeing the emotions and everything. Like, that's hard not to like.
All right, who are the biggest winners, biggest losers of the draft?
I'll start with one of my favorite winners that's sort of low-key. This is a low-key one.
Okay.
Give me the Nets as a winner.
Yeah,
Give me the Nets as a winner.
back-to-back picks.
Back-to-back picks. You get Noah Clowney, who's a really versatile, sort of big front court member. Dariq Whitehead, who shot 43%. The scoring upside Dariq Whitehead could have in the NBA is pretty substantial. He's still young. And then at 51, they get Jalen Wilson. I think all three of those picks, and I know that's a young team that's in a rebuild, I think all three of those picks could be on the active roster this year and get minutes and play well.
Yeah.
I think they went and got guys that are good basketball players.
Yeah.
So I like all three of those picks, even though they didn't have that premier lottery pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go Houston Rockets. I think that's fair. Pretty easy.
Cam Whitmore fell.
Yeah, Cam Whitmore fell to them, and then getting Amen Thompson at 4. Also, the Thompson twins, big winners, going back-to-back. That's pretty cool. And you're just back-to-back millionaires.
Well, Troy Thompson Sr., his swimmers did well.
Yeah, they did. They did really well.
Well, how does it work if you have twins? Is it a singular swimmer, or is it a couple swimmers that merge together?
Couldn't tell you.
How does that work? Or is it like after once they
Kenny should know he is a twin.
I am a twin, so
how does that work?
I don't know.
Are you the older twin or the younger twin?
By a minute. I'm a minute older than my sister.
No, but the Thompson brothers, Troy Thompson Sr. is really the biggest winner of the night. 4 and 5. But also Trailblazers. I'll give they need to trade Damian Lillard and get assets for him. But Scoot Henderson falling to 3 is awesome. I mean, outside of Victor Wembanyama, that's like my can't miss guy this year. I thought Brandon Miller, much as I like him, I think there's a chance. Like, he doesn't have
as much upside.
He's got a lower ceiling, maybe a slightly higher floor than Scoot, but I think Scoot has a relatively high floor and just an
extremely high,
insane ceiling. If he can start shooting the ball at a really good rate, which he's got the stroke for,
as far as just
I think he could be
physical
great.
Traits,
I think he could be great. And then they ended up getting Chris Murray, who fell to 23, who's similar to his brother, but maybe a little less put together as a basketball player, but he's got the similar physical traits because they're freaking twins. Speaking of twins. So they got him at 23. Then they got Ryan Rupert, who's he's a French kid who played in the NBL, who's still young, who's 6'7", really a 7'3" wingspan, can handle the ball, can pass the ball, can't really quite shoot yet, but he could develop those things. Like, I thought they did a good job getting those three guys, Scoot Henderson, Chris Murray, and Ryan Rupert.
Yep, totally agree. What do we think about G.G. Jackson to the Grizzlies?
Why not? Why not?
Well, why not?
No, seriously. That's how I feel. It doesn't really fit the Zach Kleiman thought process necessarily, but I think that's an okay thing. And the reason I say that is not because I don't think he's got the physical traits. Like he's 2 months younger than Bronny James, for God's sakes.
Right.
He's 18 years old and he reclassified, which is probably a stupid decision, like looking back at it, because he could have helped himself drastically if he would have grown up quicker and not been all in his coach's faces. But this is different for Zach Kleiman because he did draft a guy who has perceived, and I'm not saying they're fully true, but perceived character issues.
Yeah.
Where it's like he talked crap about the South Carolina program on Twitter, went after his teammates and his coaches. But Zach Kleiman said he thought through the draft process that he convinced him that is not himself. That is not who G.G. Jackson is. And G.G. Jackson he was on like a news, he had like a interview with the press before the draft, and he said that was big-headed G.G. I'm little-headed G.G. now because of what I've gone through this 1 year at South Carolina. So maybe Zach Kleiman's on to something. But I like the big swing, 6'9", really good ISO ball player.
Yeah.
But he's got to develop other parts of his game. He's got to give second and third efforts on defense. He's got to start shooting better and better shot selection. But it's hard to deny an 18-year-old who's 6'9", who can go create a shot just at will.
Yep. A couple other notes before we move on. Former Memphis Tiger Amani Bates got drafted in the second round by the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Him and Gigi kind of give me the same
vibe.
Well, it's like, isn't it about mentality with guys like that?
Absolutely.
Like now you're 2A. You've been a number one recruit your whole life. You've been the guy who shows up.
And you're the guy.
And you are immediately crowned.
Yep.
Now you're a 2A guy that's not going to get preferential treatment. They're going to make you develop. How do you respond mentally to that?
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely.
But I like Amani's skill set. It's hard not to.
Yep.
I wish he was a little more athletic. I wish he could do more at the rim right now, but his shot creation and how quick that shot's out of his hand is insane.
Yep.
His scoring upside is crazy.
My favorite second round pick came right after Amani Bates. Oklahoma City Thunder get Keontae Johnson. I know he's a little bit older as a prospect, but Keontae was my favorite player in college basketball last year. And on a Thunder team that is young, obviously they have some star talent in SGA and Josh Giddey. But as a relatively young team, who knows? Keontae Johnson could catch there and could get some minutes this year potentially.
And if it weren't for what transpired, which makes his story unbelievable.
Right.
Like basically almost dying on the floor at Florida. If it weren't for that happening, dude would have been probably a lottery pick.
Probably.
Easily a first round pick.
Yep.
Like, I mean, he's got game, and I think he's relatively pro ready. Like you could put him into your rotation. I honestly, I'd feel comfortable. And to get that at 50, I'll take
that
every day.
All right, Kenny.